Okay, so in these videos I've been going into kind of deep dives with the manual and looking at what we can gain information wise about how these amps are supposed to work, and today I wanted to look at the PRS archetype or PRS Archon, sorry, and it's called the archetype clean or the archetype lead in the actual Helix model itself. So first of all, the manual is more or less useless. It does explain that you've got a bass, mid, treble and presence on each channel, and explains that you've got a depth and also a bright switch on the clean, which you might not know about here at the end, and a depth. So we're going to have to work it out for ourselves, you know, some of the tips and bits and pieces, and start from scratch. But so I've got in this preset, I've got an archetype clean and an archetype lead as a starting point. I've also got a dual cab here, so I've got a 4x12 with the Kali V30. Now PRS actually supposedly make really good cabs, really great stuff, birch cabinets and stuff. Mesa Boogie also make really good cabinets out of kind of thick ply birch, so I think that seems relatively similar. Also PRS, their 4x12 cabinet uses V30s, their 1x12 cabinets use V-type, Celestion V-type, similar to in a Cerbella. I don't know if there's any cabs in the Helix or HX Stomp with those particular speakers, so I've gone for the 4x12 with V30s. Other cabs you could choose the Uber or the extra large, the PV one with V30s, other options. So I've got a 57 dynamic here and 20% reflection to give some room kind of sound, and 421 dynamic here and again 20% reflection. So when we pull up the clean tone, what we get is this. And when we pull up the dirty tone, we get this. So quite a big difference in terms of volume. Let's dig into the archetype clean, and to start off with, I think I'm going to turn this master up to get some volume and a bit more of a lively. And let's not forget that we've got a depth control here and a bright switch. So a bright switch is going to be giving us kind of a kick around sort of 2 kilohertz probably. But the sense that I get is this is a really, really clean amp. So we've got the drive there at 6. So if I turn that drive up further, I'm going to turn the master down a bit to compensate. We're getting a lot of clean tone even with the drive. So kind of infinite clean headroom. So I'll leave that back down at 6 and bring the master back up a little bit. Where we've got that set, I think it seems to work quite nicely. I'm using a Strat right now. Okay, then this depth thing is like sub bass. So if I turn this all the way up, basically we're moving loads and loads of air with that depth on. So I kind of suggest if you've got the bright switch on, you can turn that depth up as far as you like. But if you turn the bright switch off, you're going to get a bit more of a bit less of a balanced tone, and probably things are going to be a little bit too muggy then. So with the bright switch off, I'd consider keeping that depth low. With the bright switch on, you can start to enjoy the effects of that. Aside from that, it's basically just your normal bog standard amp. So you could turn the bass up here as well. So bass So even this bass control, we've got a fair amount of leniency with that. So yeah, you can go as wild as you like, really, with that bass control, and similarly mids, I'm imagining. Quite a scooped sounding amp anyway. Quite a scooped sounding amp anyway. So these mids got the most influential control on the amp. That midpoint seems fairly cool. Treble here, we could take this down. So this does actually seem to be changing the character quite a bit. And so if we turn this treble down, then quite quickly that bass does take over. So if you're running the treble lower, then maybe consider turning the bass down to keep that balance. But if you're running the treble high, you can again keep this bass up nice and high to keep that big full sound. But quite a modern clean tone, I'd suggest. And then presence. If things are too sparkly, might want to turn this off, kind of reduce some of that string noise and pick noise. Or for that uber kind of sparkly modern clean tone, keep that up high. So maybe I'd suggest that around 5 as a starting point. Yeah, so that's kind of the clean tone. So I feel like those settings work quite nicely. If we keep that, drive it around 7, bass at about 8, mids at 5, treble at 7.4, presence down to 5. Okay, and then standard settings there. Master I brought up a bit, didn't I? And then the bright switch on and the depth up to 8.3. Kind of a big full clean tone with a Strat. And we're not talking about edge of breakup tones here. We are talking about pretty much a clean channel the whole way. So maybe think sort of Fender twinish rather than AC30ish, I guess. So then let's take it over to the drive channel then. And here are the settings at the moment. So we've got drive at 4, bass at 5.4, mids at 6.8. These are the stock settings. So if you pull up the amp, this is what yours will look like. And that sounds like this. Which is not my favourite. So now I'm going to move everything to 5 to start off with and see where that takes us. Sometimes I think tweaking from everything from a starting point is a good way to get a sense of the amp. And I'm going to put this depth to 5 as well. And so now try and get a sense of what this. So a fair amount of gain there. As we increase this drive, what happens? So we're now at 7.5. I'm going to bring the channel volume down. Getting very saturated. drive all the way up. Really sagging. So quite a big chunky. Big chunky tone. I think drive all the way up can work as well. So take it down to 4 and things are a little bit more furry. As we get drive up to about 9. We can do some pretty cool things. I think also definitely lead tones could be interesting, so I'll keep that tone where it is for now. I think the depth is going to give us a more low end. As a rule, I would say if you want that kind of feeling of an amp in the room, this depth control higher up is kind of your friend. I think if you turn this up, things can really start to feel quite a bit more lively, especially kind of at lower volumes with studio monitors, so maybe consider keeping that up fairly high. I also think this could be a candidate for a cool lead tone, so what I'll do is turn the mids up for the lead tone. And I don't know if we've got any DSP for a delay, nope. And maybe turn the reverb mix up a bit. And I might consider using the cab high cut to kind of smooth things off a little bit. So just take that down sort of 4.3 on one and 4.3 on the other. And that will probably smooth out that lead tone quite a bit. So a really cool amp, I think, for some super saturated but doesn't really get too crazy fizzy if you keep that presence in check. So I think starting from this 5's point of view is quite cool. Boost the mids if you want a lead tone, and also I think that depth is really useful if you're playing with studio monitors at home. Hopefully that was interesting to someone. I'll drop this preset now into the folder and I'll put together an intro using these tones, but hopefully that gives you somewhere to start from when it comes to the PRS Archon and sort of cab choices. The actual real PRS has Celestion V30s in it, so that's why I've started from this point. V-Type is the Celestion speaker in the combos and the open back, but I'm not sure that we've got any of those. But I think the 4x12 Cali works perfectly. So catch you in another video soon. Cheers, feel free to like and subscribe, and leave comments if you've got other amps that you want me to do this sort of thing on. Cheers.